What's up, guys? It is divisional weekend in the NFL. Rams taking on the Packers is our first matchup in the NFC. Aaron Donald just destroyed Russell Wilson, and now he takes on Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. The key matchup here, Rams defense versus Packers offense. So, Kevin and Geoff, we're going to rapid fire through some questions. Kevin, I'm going to get to you first. Who wins, Rams defense or Packers offense?
I'm going to say Packers offense because not only the venue, but it's Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers knows how to masterfully pick apart elite defenses. I think that the major thing is going to be obviously the defensive line versus the offensive line, but I think Rodgers is quick enough to get the ball out, and obviously the marquee matchup of the day is going to be Jalen Ramsey and Devontae Adams. But, Jalen Ramsey has had a lot of success versus elite wide receivers, but he hasn't quite gone against an elite talent like Devontae Adams with an elite quarterback like Aaron Rodgers throwing to.
Geoff, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Kevin for the most part. And like Kevin said, the matchup between Devontae Adams and Jalen Ramsey is the primary one. But I think even if Devontae Adams does get locked up, I think Aaron Rodgers can still have a great game because Robert Tonyan, the tight end, has really stepped up. He has been scoring a lot of red zone touchdowns. And because of that, I'm going to pick the Packers offense. And that's why I also think the Packers are going to win the game.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with both of you. Give me the Rams defense on this one. I think the Rams defense obviously has the talent to stop Aaron Rodgers. They just shut down Russell Wilson. Even though the Seahawks offense was trending down, the Rams defense has just been amazing, scoring defensive touchdowns in consecutive weeks leading up to the playoffs. And I do think Aaron Donald will get pressure on Aaron Rodgers. We might see something like what we saw in the Packers versus Panthers game, where Rodgers doesn't have a great day necessarily, but he still puts up enough points to win. Like, obviously, the Packers are going to score points. It's just I think the Rams will limit how much Aaron Rodgers does, and he won't be the same as he was throughout his MVP season. Okay, let's move on to another player in this matchup, Jared Goff. Jared Goff. I wanted to know whether you guys think he will perform up to his potential or whether we'll see some limitations. He has a thumb injury and it's in the cold. Kevin, do we see Jared Goff or Jared Goff?
We see Jared Goff. Will Jared Goff do well this week? Hell no. Let me tell you why. Jared Goff, first of all, has no confidence in himself, and the coaching staff has no confidence in Jared Goff. And let's look at Jared Goff in freezing temperature games. 0 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. And where is he playing? In Lambeau Field in middle of January. So, no, Jared Goff is not going to do well in Green Bay.
I like that argument. I was hoping, we always hope for Jared Goff to be somewhat like a good Kirk Cousins because he's that type of system quarterback, but he always seems to disappoint us. Geoff, do you think we'll see Goff or Geoff?
I believe you'll see Goff too, because Jared Goff has been extremely disappointing this whole season. And in the playoffs, the Rams coaching staff started John Wolford over him. I know he was injured, but still, he's your starting quarterback. If you trust him, you have to start him, even if he's injured. And because of this, I think that Goff is going to have a horrible game. I think Packers are going to destroy him, and you'll see what happens. Maybe there's a small chance that Goff actually has a good game, but I really don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to rely on Cam Akers. I think that's one place where the Rams can actually move the ball because they do have a strong running attack, and Packers have a suspect run defense. We'll see what happens. Should be a close matchup, even though it's the 6th seed against the 1 seed. Let's go to the other 6th seed against the 1 seed in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Cleveland Browns. We heard Chase Claypool talking after his loss to the Browns, saying the Browns are done. They'll be joining us watching the playoffs after they get obliterated by the Chiefs. I think that gives the Browns some motivation. Kevin, what is the Chiefs' Achilles heel, and how can the Browns take advantage?
The Chiefs' Achilles heel is probably their defense. Their defense has done enough for them. If you look at throughout the whole season, right? The Chiefs have actually played close, one possession games with almost everybody, but their defense has just done that one turnover, one takeaway enough to propel their offense to a game-winning situation. But I don't think that they can necessarily do that against this Browns rushing attack. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, they don't really make mistakes, and the Kareem Hunt is out for revenge. So it's going to be one big thing to watch, the Chiefs defense versus this Browns rushing attack.
And Joffrey, what do you think about the Browns and their ability to pull off the upset? Is there enough in Cleveland to challenge the Chiefs?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I think the biggest thing here is how the Chiefs offense usually starts in the playoffs. If you look at the Patriots game like 2 years ago, they started off slow. They were bad in the first half, and then they kind of came back in the second half. And then if you look at the AFC Championship game last year, Deshaun Watson and the Texans had a 24-0 lead over them. So if they start off bad again against this Browns team, I don't think they're going to win, because you saw Browns last game. They put up 28-0, and they didn't give up that lead. They were able to save that lead. They're going to run with Nick Chubb. They're going to run with Kareem Hunt. And because of this, if the Chiefs start off slow again, I think there's a good chance that the Browns can actually win this game.
That is a fair assertion, though I will say that last week Browns had a 28-0 lead, and we saw the Steelers somewhat come back to a 2-score game late in the third quarter. So imagine Patrick Mahomes in that situation. No lead is safe with Patrick Mahomes. That's one of the reasons I think there's nothing in Cleveland that gives me reason to believe they'll pull off the upset. But we're all rooting for the Browns, I'm assuming, because we like to see upsets. We like the story that Cleveland presents. Okay, let's move on to the other matchup in the AFC, the Buffalo Bills taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson finally got his first playoff win in Tennessee last week. He ran very well, and he made enough plays to win the game. So let's do some over-unders. We're going to look at some stats. Kevin, Lamar Jackson, over or under 100 rushing yards against this Bills defense?
I'm going to say over. He did it very well against the Titans, and this Bills defense really has not shown me anything that that proves that they're an elite rush defense. The Bills defense has been suspect all year, and really, the Bills defense has been a defining feature of the Sean McDermott Bills for the past few years, but now it's all about Josh Allen and this offense. I don't think that they're going to limit Lamar Jackson's rush, but I do think they might limit his passing attack, because Lamar's passing has been very, very suspect.
Joffrey, Lamar Jackson, over or under 100 rushing yards?
I'm going to say over too, because this whole season, the one thing that the Bills have struggled with is that rush defense. And Lamar Jackson, once he starts, gets in his rhythm, he's going to be a great player in that game. He's going to be the X factor. And I definitely think that Lamar Jackson can get over 100 yards.
Yeah, I'll go under, just because I think he needs a big play, like a 40 to 50-yard run to get that. And I don't think that's going to happen every week. And I also do think that J.K. Dobbins is going to get some of those rushing yards. So just for the sake of, 100 yards as a distinct boundary, I'll say under for Lamar Jackson. Okay, next one. Josh Allen, over or under 300 passing yards against this stout Ravens defense? Kevin first.
I'm going to say over again. This Ravens defense has been very good throughout the whole season, but a bit inconsistent. And honestly, Josh Allen is top 3 quarterback this year, maybe even top 2. And he's definitely deserving of the MVP as much as anyone else. He's been playing lights out. So I will always take a good offense over a good defense.
Yeah, the league is moving towards that. Offense always puts up points. Good defenses, even today, are just ones that can limit the offense. Joffrey, Josh Allen, over or under 300 passing yards?
I'm going to say under. The Ravens defense, the past few weeks have really stepped up. I think that Marlon Humphrey, that defensive line, I think they can really limit Josh Allen this game. I don't think he's going to break 275 yards. I think he's going to have under 275 yards. I think this is going to be maybe run every game if they get a big lead. And because of this, I really don't see Josh Allen cracking 300.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what kind of game this is going to be, because you have a very pass-happy offense on one side and a very run-heavy offense on the other. It could be completely defensive. It could be completely offensive. We have no idea. It also depends a little bit on Stephon Diggs, by the way. Okay, last one. This game could come down to turnovers. Total turnovers in the game, over or under 3 for Bills versus Ravens. Kevin.
I'm gonna say under, although I know that both teams have, a susceptibility to fumbling a lot, and also Lamar can throw interceptions in there. But I think the Bills, especially Josh Allen, has done a really good job limiting the amount of turnovers that he gives, especially in the interception department. He's vastly reduced that number since his early seasons. And also Ravens, Lamar Jackson knows that he needs to protect the ball. The only way that, they have a chance against this Bills team, who is favored, by the way, is to protect the ball and run on them. If you fumble a game away, then you're not going to beat the Buffalo Bills. And the Ravens are not built to come back from a deficit. So they know that they need to secure that ball.
Yeah, even though they did it last week versus the Titans, it's hard for the Ravens the way they're built. I agree with that. Joffrey, over or under 3 turnovers in the game?
I'm going to say over. And that's because I believe in the Ravens defense. I think they can get a couple of turnovers from Josh Allen. I think they can get about 1 or 2 interceptions. And, Lamar Jackson, he's inconsistent sometimes. He can have a huge game, but sometimes he has a couple of turnovers. And because of this, I think there's going to be about 3 or 4 interceptions this game.
Yeah, and I should have mentioned over or under for 3. You can also say equal to 3. But yeah, I'll go the under as well. I think this will be a very high game of execution. I think both teams will come in very prepared, great coaches on both sides. I think it comes down to just matchups. Run. Can Baltimore run the ball? Can Buffalo pass effectively on Baltimore's defenses? Okay, we have the last matchup and probably the most fun matchup. Most of our viewers, we have a lot of Saints fans. We are from New Orleans. I'm going to do something fun here. Let's, instead of pro comparisons, since we're talking about pros, let's do some Marvel comparisons for players in Buccaneers versus Saints, Brady versus Brees Part 3. First 2 are blowouts. We all saw those. We all predicted those blowouts correctly. But Kevin, I'll start with you. Alvin Kamara, who does he remind you of in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Alvin Kamara reminds me of Spider-Man. The way that he's so slick, his movements, and he just moves with ease. That reminds me of Spider-Man swinging from tower to tower in New York when Alvin Kamara runs. Alvin Kamara looks like he's jogging when he's just juking people for 70-yard touchdowns. And also, he's a person who does everything, right? And Spider-Man is now becoming the new forefront of the Marvel Universe. Alvin Kamara is going to be the new forefront of this New Orleans Saints, if he already isn't, when Drew Brees retires.
Yeah, and one of the key matchups will be the Buccaneers linebackers versus the Saints running back, Alvin Kamara. I don't know about Latavius Murray's status. Geoffrey, Antonio Brown, who does he remind you of in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
He reminds me of Loki, because he's the villain sometimes, he's a hero sometimes. And, Antonio Brown, I'll say this, he has been impressive. I thought he was going to cause him off the field problems again, but so far it's not been horrible. And if you see Loki towards the end, he was kind of a hero. And because of this, I think Antonio Brown reminds me of Loki.
I like that comparison as well. Loki is a wild card, and Antonio Brown has certainly been a wild card over the course of his career, but he's really increased his production of late. Okay, now let's move to the defensive side of the ball. Cam Jordan for the New Orleans Saints. Geoffrey, who does he remind you of?
Cam Jordan, he reminds me of Thor. I saw Cam Jordan once. He's huge, and that's kind of what Thor is. Thor is huge. He has, his hammer. You never know when he's going to come from, because, like, in the Endgame movie, like, he came out of nowhere. He was getting his new hammer and stuff, and Cam Jordan, he's going to come out of nowhere. He's going to sack Tom Brady a couple of times, so that's why I think he's Thor.
That's a good one as well. Levante David, Kevin, who does he remind you of?
Yeah, and before our viewers kill us, it was Infinity War when Thor came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I would say Levante David reminds me of the Abomination from the Incredible Hulk. He's the villain. So basically the villain version of the Hulk. Levante David is a do-it-all linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he is scary. He is probably one of the best linebackers in this league, and I hate when the Saints go against him because he's so smart, him and Devin White, and also he's big. He makes those big tackles. He always consistently gets tackles. He gets interceptions. He does it all. So you need a big you need to truck through him, right? It's like a Hulk versus Abomination battle. Latavius Murray, I would love to see him just go smash into Levante David. Or you need a Spider-Man, slick it away, Alvin Kamara, juke him out. But, I would say he's Abomination.
Yeah, and he definitely has speed as well, which is essential for linebackers, especially when they're covering running backs. Okay, this is what everybody's been waiting for, Brady versus Brees. Kevin, I'll let you do Tom Brady. Who does he remind you of?
Oh, man, Tom Brady. Well, I mean, the obvious pick is Thanos, right? Because Thanos collects all those infinity stones, just like Tom Brady collects all those rings. And he doesn't share. He doesn't give anyone else rings. He doesn't give anyone else opportunities, especially in the AFC. And Tom Brady he has been so dominant, and still people doubt him. And it's crazy how people doubt him, because people always love to undermine greats. You see it in LeBron versus MJ debates. Like, why undermine the other person? You can say the one person's better without undermining the other person, because he's an all-time great. Tom Brady, to me, is the greatest of all time. Thanos is the greatest of all time Marvel villain, in my opinion. And I think they just have similar stories, and they just match up really well.
Yeah, very, very valid argument. The rings perfectly align. I would say Tom Brady reminds me a little bit about Iron Man, but that aside, let's move on to Drew Brees. Geoffrey, who does Drew Brees remind you of?
I'm going to say Captain America because, first of all, Drew Brees is very patriotic. Captain America, he is Captain America. And second of all, Drew Brees, he has been there forever, right? And Captain America, he's been there for 100 years. Well, he was frozen for a part of the time, and at the end of the day, Drew Brees is old, and Captain America got old at the end of the movie.
The perfect ending to that will be just as Captain America, hung up his cleats, essentially retired from the Avengers after he helped save the world. Drew Brees will retire after he helped save the New Orleans Saints franchise with another Super Bowl.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel, M2M Coverage, for more sports content.